I love being a coon, shucking and jiving to the moon. I love being a coon, shucking and jiving to the moon. I've learned that thief has never learned, so I jump ship just to let him burn. I fly looking lane for the coon. Say what wrong with God. Shucking and jiving on the righteous edge, on the righteous edge. Shucking and jiving on the righteous edge, on the righteous edge. Live it up on the edge, on the righteous edge. Live it up on the edge, on the righteous edge. I love being a coon, shucking and jiving to the moon. I love being a coon, shucking and jiving to the moon. I love being a coon, shucking and jiving to the moon. I love being a coon, shucking and jiving to the moon. I've learned that thief has never learned, so I jump ship just to let him burn. I fly looking lane for the coon. Shucking and jiving on the righteous edge, on the righteous edge. Shucking and jiving on the righteous edge, on the righteous edge. Live it up on the edge.
What is up? Sorry, I'm still listening to it on my end. Let me see. It is your boy, Jack Bravo. I'm back again, and let's get right into this. It's been a lot of nonsense going down, and I feel like it was such good journalism that this guy did that he didn't really give his opinion on the matter, because that's what journalism is. We kind of forgotten that in America. When you do correct journalism, you actually don't give your opinion on the matter. You just present the facts. So, what's taking the internet by storm is the Somali fraud that's been going on in Minnesota. You know what? Let's just get right into this. The truth about Tim Walz and the Somali daycare fraud. This is research done by me. Who is Tim Walz? Let's look at some things that Tim Walz has done. Codifying expansive abortion rights. Ooh, this pretty much will lay out exactly who this guy is. Governor of Minnesota. In 2023, Walz signed a Protect Reproductive Options Act, which enshrined abortion as a fundamental right in Minnesota state law without gestational limits. And another bill shielding patients and providers from out-of-state legal penalties. So he just wants the right for women to just be able to delete their babies at any time for any reason whatsoever. And that's what this guy is all about. This made Minnesota a refuge for abortion access, poll Roe v. Wade, which conservatives criticize as promoting and unrestricting abortions against pro-life principles. Absolutely. So he's all about killing black children. That's what abortion is all about. If you don't believe me, look into Margaret Sanger and see what she was all about. The person who started Planned Parenthood. She was all about deleting black people. The genocide of black people. That's what she started Planned Parenthood for. Look into it. Liberals love talking about, institutional racism. That's the big institutional racism we have thus far. by far. They get more governmental funds than any other racist institution ever, Planned Parenthood. But they don't want to talk about that institutionalized racism, do they? Conservative, there he is. Look at his proud face. Governor Walz signed a bill codifying abortion rights in Minnesota law. 2, protecting gender-affirming care for LGBTQ rights. This is what Walz is all about. Walz issued a 2023 executive order and signed legislation making Minnesota a trans refuge state, protecting access to gender-affirming treatments, including for minors, and barring cooperation with out-of-state restrictions. So he just loves to be a refuge for everything satanic. In Minnesota, Minnesota is just the place where satanic people just go. You want to cut off your ding-a-ling? Then go to Minnesota. You want to kill your baby? Go to Minnesota, right? He's also banned conversion therapy and mandated free menstrual products in school bathrooms for ages 4 to 12, regardless of gender. It'd be one thing if you want to provide that for girls. He provides it for boys and girls because in his weak little liberal sissified mind, boys can menstruate just as well as girls. This is what Tim Walz is all about. Critics argue that this advances gender ideology at odds with traditional Christian views on biology and family. Not Christian views, scientific views. Everything that's right just happens to align with the Word of God, with the Bible, with Jesus Christ, with the teachings of Christian ethics. That's what you meant to say, right? So here's the problem with these people, is you often find that they only promote things that go against Christianity. And so whenever you find yourself aligning with a liberal, you have to ask yourself, this person has promoted everything under the sun that is satanic. Why am I aligning with them on this one thing? Maybe, perhaps I have satanic ideology. Just something to examine amongst yourselves. Implementing gun control reform. So not only will you have all these, transformers coming after you in Minnesota and murderous women who don't have any regard for their own children, but now you can't even protect yourself. Shifting from his earlier pro-gun stance, Walz signed in 2023 laws expanding universal background checks for private gun sales and establishing red flag laws allowing temporary firearms removal from individuals deemed a risk. Now here's the question, who deems them a risk? Who has the right to deem somebody else a risk? Watch it be some liberal, funky, left-wing people that he appointed. Oh, you voted for somebody that's Republican? You shouldn't have guns. That's what they do. Conservatives view this as infringing on Second Amendment rights and self-defense principles. Absolutely it is. I'm not 100% against checking somebody's mental health state, but what I am against is anybody that liberals deem a risk taking away their Second Amendment right. That's retarded. You don't get to just deem me a risk and then say, well, you don't get to have guns. Why? Who gives you the right to deem me a risk to take away my rights in America if I haven't done anything that's criminal? So, 4, extending benefits to undocumented immigrants. Who could have guessed that he would be involved in something like this? Who could have guessed that Tim Walz, with all the current scandals going on, would be involved in something like this? Timmy, no! No, Timmy! Walz signed a bill providing driver's licenses, state-funded health insurances, and free college tuition at public institutions for undocumented residents meeting certain criteria. which is pretty much liberal criteria. He has advocated for federal pathways to citizenship. Oh, this has been criticized by conservatives as rewarding illegal immigrants and straining public resources against principles of lawfulness and national sovereignty. Kind of as if they were right. Because look, he has been criticized by conservatives regarding illegal immigrants and straining public resources. I wonder if that's a foreshadow for what we're going to be going through today. Straining public resources. See, liberals have this view that public resources are not yours, they're theirs. They're your dictators, you idiot. You don't get to work and keep your money. Your money belongs to them. Fool, for voted for them. Whoever voted for these idiots, you're an idiot. Because you believe that your money is not your money. You work hard for them, slave, bot. This is what they think. They regard you're just a slave to these people. They care more about people who came into the country illegally than they do the hardworking American. Oh, we gonna prove that. Oversight failures in major fraud scandals. Under Walz administration, Minnesota saw the nation's largest COVID-19 relief fraud cases. Oh, so he's done this before. Over 250 million. Some people won't ever see 250,000 in their life. Over 250 million stolen from child nutrition programs, mostly by Somali-linked groups. So he just loved the Somalis. He just giving them all your money. All the money you make, take it, put it over here. Conservatives argue that this reflects fiscal irresponsibility and poor stewardship of taxpayer funds, conflicting with values of accountability and limited government. Does it not? There he is. Look at the face of a strong American man. That's it right there. You see this goofy neck he has that looks something like a turtle retracting its head into a shell? That's the epitome of masculinity right there. Let's look at his friends. This one's better. Actually, let's go right back and read the first one first. Breaking. Multiple corrupt Minnesota judges are under fire for dismissing a flurry of recent Somali fraud cases. Judge Sarah West, Judge Amber Brennan, Judge Hillary Caligula, Judge Hillary. Millions of dollars stolen. But the conviction wasn't allowed because the judges say so. These judges won their recent races entirely with no opposition. Things is getting a little bit weird here. These are his people. These are his judges in Minnesota. Now tell me why, and I want you to think deeply. Why wouldn't judges convict people? Think about it. Why wouldn't Minnesota judges convict somebody that is obviously engaged in millions and millions of dollars of stealing from your state, your city, your taxpayers? Why wouldn't they convict him of that? It kind of makes you think, doesn't it? I guarantee you right now, there are people in an office somewhere burning files, making phone calls, setting up escape plans, flushing things down the toilet before the feds come. I guarantee you they are. Remember that scene on Breaking Bad when the girl was freaking out because they were being exposed and she was like making all the plans to protect herself, and she was like very had so much anxiety. That's what I look like think they look like right now. I think they have file cabinets burning files. I think they got interns running things, disk burning all types of drives. I think they're scattering now, all because of this documentary that this young man did. Look at these faces. I don't think they're quite so happy right now. Look at them. These white liberal women, and I told you before, and I still stand by this, white liberal women will be the downfall of America. By far, they're the most dangerous group. By far, because not only do they have control of their husbands, but they also get to play in double dip. They get to take the power that their husbands have in the home and use it against you, and they get to play victim while they do it. So they get to tout feminist ideology and talk about the patriarchy, and they also get to use the power of their husbands, whether their husbands be business owner, politicians, CEOs. They get to double dip. And then when things go bad, they say they're the victims of their husbands. All the while telling you as a black conservative that you shouldn't think the way you think, and you're the bad guy, and you've been misinformed. And to vote for more ideology that lifts them up, while you as a black man trying to make it in this country gets pushed down. And what I mean by that, I'm not talking that liberal talk of white people holding us down. I'm talking the ideology of feminism that hurts black men and tells their women that they're enemies. The ideology of DEI that benefits white women before it benefits black men. The ideology to help illegals, immigrants in, that hurts black men and them going for jobs and getting education because now that money is going to someone else. It hurts black men in the trades because now when illegal immigrants come in, they take those jobs. Tell me where I'm lying. Tell me where one thing that's a lie that I have said. So everything these white liberals push is against you. And you idiot black people just keep voting for them. They're on our side. They're with us. They're marching with us, you idiot. Just like Margaret Sanger, who wanted to kill black people. Same thing going on now. These idiots got you thinking that they're on your side and secretly they want to kill you. That's his friends. Well, let's learn about Somalia.
Why are Somalians in America? Yesterday, a Somalian rear-ended me, which thankfully no one was hurt and no damage was done to my truck. But it got me thinking, why are Somalians in America? Especially North Dakota and Minnesota. So, I looked into it. The main group bringing in Somalians is Lutheran Social Services. They are led by this guy, and this is his staff. And turns out, they get $2,375 for every Somalian they bring over. But
answer me this. Why do they need to get paid for bringing Somalians over here? Why are they getting paid and who's paying them? Taxpayer money. You're paying for Somalians to come over here. You are.
we have to ask the question, why are they coming over here in the first place? And another surprise, turns out our government was funding a dictatorship in Somalia throughout the Cold War, led by Saeed Barre. And this dictatorship led to clan favoritism and overall just destabilized the country, and inevitably collapsed in 1991. Also, our troops were over there. This is where the movie Black Hawk Down comes from. But overall, Somalians have no right to be in America, especially North Dakota and Minnesota. They don't integrate into our societies. They carry over their clan mentalities. If you personally have never interacted with Somalian or just don't believe me, I would recommend checking out Nick Shirley's video he did the other day.
And that's where I would agree. We need to stop letting people over here that don't assimilate to our culture. We in America, whether you like it or not, have Christian ideology. We have a country built for Christianity. You don't have to like it. If you don't like it, you can get out. What we need to teach these people is you need to obey everything that we say you need to do when you come over here, or else you can get your little punk, dirty Somalian butt out. We're the captains now. And that's part of the problem with these people. The blatant disregard and disrespect for America. I'm going to show you that this is not even hidden. They're not even trying to hide. Let's look. What have Somalians been involved in since they've been over here? I'm not saying all Somalians are evil. I don't believe any one demographic of people are evil. But I think when you have people from a culture like Somalia, and you teach them they don't have to integrate, they don't have to learn anything about American culture, but they can come over here, and not only will they come over here and take advantage of what the country has to offer, but they can benefit because you're giving them tons of free money from American working people. That, to me, is insane. And so when you see what they've been involved in, you start to see why they have such a disregard. Look, the feeding of our future fraud scandal in Minnesota. This involved the theft of over $250 million from federal child nutrition programs, including the COVID-19 pandemic, primarily by organizations linked to the Somali community. Critics argued that it highlights issues with oversight and integration into systems of accountability, though it was perpetuated by a subset of individuals. Recruitment of Somali Americans to Al-Shabaab. From the late 2000s onward, dozens of young Somali Americans, particularly from Minnesota, were recruited to join the Al-Shabaab militant group in Somalia, with some traveling abroad to fight. This raised concerns about radicalization with diaspora communities and ties to violent extremists back home. Gang violence in Somali communities in Minneapolis. Somali youth gangs, such as the Somali Outlaws or the Hot Boys, have been involved in shootings, drug trafficking, and intergang conflicts in Minneapolis since 2000s, sometimes linked to broader urban violence. This has been cited as an example of challenges with youth integration amid poverty and cultural clashes. You can find that on FBI.gov, anybody who's to think I'm lying. Terrorist Conspiracies by Abdi Abdullah. In 2025, Somali-born U.S. resident Abdi Abdullah was sentenced to life in prison for plotting a 9/11 style airplane attack on behalf of Al-Shabaab, that same group we talked about earlier. This case underscores fears of imported violent ideologies affecting assimilation. There he is. He don't have the, well, in that video he got the Somalian forehead, but in this video he don't. Or in this photo. I almost didn't believe he was Somalian. The Al-Shabaab, I keep pronouncing it, Al-Shabaab attacks in Somalia. Ongoing violence by Al-Shabaab, including bombings like the 2022 Mogadishu attacks that killed over 100 people, reflect persistent instability in Somalia. Some argue that this cultural backdrop of militancy and clan conflicts hinders diaspora assimilation, as seen in U.S. recruitment cases, though most Somalians flee such violence. It's funny how they flee such violence and crime and then come here and commit violence and crime. Can anybody explain that to me? I hate when people do that. I hate when hood people leave the hood and then come to the suburbs and bring violence and crime to the suburbs. I hate when Somalians or anywhere in Africa come from over there or Middle East or anywhere, to be honest, come and bring their culture with them. If you come here, assimilate to our culture. We don't want your culture. Keep that over there. So what was done? What is the video that sparked all this outrage? We're going to look at some segments of it. We're not going to look at all of it because you can go watch his video on everywhere, to be honest. You can watch his video on TikTok. This is what he did well, too. He put it on segments of it on TikTok. He put it on X. He put it on YouTube. He put it on Instagram. There's no way to get away from it. And it went so viral that it caught the attention of politicians, celebrities, political commentators, everybody. There was no ignoring it. Let's look at what happened here.
Within 48 hours of releasing his video investigating childcare welfare fraud in Minnesota, Nick Shirley took 3 swift actions that completely cornered Tim Walz. First, Nick edited out the most crucial evidence clips and simultaneously pushed them across all platforms, repeatedly naming the Minnesota state government and regulatory agencies. His wording was very clear, demanding accountability and that Tim Walz pay the price. Second, Nick repeatedly emphasized that these childcare centers had been receiving huge subsidies for a long time, and that the approval and allocation of funds were entirely within the state government's authority. This directly cut off the most common escape route for Walz's team. This is a grassroots implementation problem. It has nothing to do with the governor. The question was no longer who defrauded the money, but why didn't you, as governor, discover this? Third, Nick directly tagged J.D. Vance and several government officials on the platform, publicly demanding an investigation. Subsequently, J.D. Vance quickly shared the video, escalating the incident from media discussion into cross-party and cross-level political pressure. Do you support his actions? With it?
Yes. Yes, I do. I hope YouTube don't hit me for that music that's in the background. But this is important because, yeah, I do support that, because here's one of the big things that they're pointing out online that really bothers me, but it also brings up the fact that there's a new horizon that's coming. Why didn't media cover this before? Why does the liberal-run media not cover this nonsense? Why don't they care about taxpayer money within the billions being spent during fraud? Why do they not care? Why is nobody who's even independent media, like the little guys, why are they not covering things like this? Why did it take one young man to do this? It kind of infuriates you that that's their job. Their job is to expose these type of things. Their job is to go out and get news stories and get leads and to try to find out what's going on in their communities. And they haven't done it, to the point that now it's a billion-dollar industry of fraud that could have been stopped on the ground level, but they let it grow. And this is the media's fault. Well, it's more people than the media's fault, right? There's politicians involved, there's evil people involved, there's judges involved, all types of stuff. But all that to say this, the media is supposed to be this like light that shines on the darkness and exposes people so that they're scared. We even have laws so that media can be protected in this country, that they don't have to give out their sources. Same like almost like when you talk to a lawyer and you don't have to explain what you talk to your lawyer about. Media has protective laws in this country for this reason. And they use it to do and push left-wing ideology instead. It's infuriating. Now, what I was talking about with the New Horizon is it also gives me hope that the people have lost faith in the media and there's a new media growing. That means young people are not waiting for CNN, MSNBC, ABC. They're not waiting for these liberal giant monopolies, these giants, to do what they can do with a camera and a small crew. That's how people like Tim Pool got started. They came out and they just started doing media and covering stories on their own. And now look, he's a giant brand. And that's great. So that does give me hope that the younger people of this generation that go out with a camera and want to actually cover real stories that people care about, you can't silence them anymore with the way social media works. Is they can put out their stuff in so many different avenues that it's like, okay, you can try to stop me and try to silence me. But the reality is once a story gets some heat and catches fire, it's going to blow. And that's what happened here. That's a good thing.
Nick Shirley reveals daycare fraud. A daycare that claims to accommodate 74 children has received $126 million in taxpayer funding. What's shocking is that the daycare hasn't taken in any children at all. However, this money was not used to help any children in need. Reporter Nick Shirley personally visited several daycare centers in Minnesota owned by Somalis and tried to enroll his son. He discovered that these centers were nothing but shell operations. The staff refused to provide any useful information. Some daycare workers couldn't even explain why the facility, which claimed to accommodate 74 children, had no children at all. When the reporter asked, their response was simply, "I don't know." What's even more infuriating is that these daycare centers receive huge taxpayer funding every year. This revelation is both outraging and thought-provoking. Is there a serious flaw in daycare regulation? Why are taxpayer dollars earned through hard work flowing into fake daycare centers like this, while genuinely needy families don't get the support they deserve? What do you think should be done about the fraudulent practices of these nurseries? Nick Shirley.
I'll tell you what should be done. Throw all these people in jail. Everybody involved, from the judges to the workers to the people applying for this stuff to the people helping them apply. And I'm willing to bet my life that these people are not just doing this on their own, in the sense of they're not just applying on their own. Somebody's helping them apply. How do we know? Because when we watch the videos later, these people can barely speak English. Who's reading all these forms and red tape? Anybody who live in any Democrat place, any Democrat city who tried to start a business, which I have, who tried to start stuff like a group home. I've looked into that. Who tried to run for any type of office. The red tape, the types of paperwork you have to read through and the dot lines and cross the T's and all this paperwork you got to sign, ain't no way you doing this without help if you can't even speak English. I can barely do it. I need help. Like, I have to, like, my wife is into accounting and stuff like that. I got to ask her, like, what does that mean? Or what does this mean? I got to ask people who have lawyer experience. You telling me these people is signing up and getting all these funds and they can't even speak English? You know it's fraud going on. Somebody is helping them.
The healthcare companies, loads of them right here. We want healthcare.
No, it's okay.
Yes, we'd like to speak about getting healthcare here.
No.
Why can't I get healthcare here?
No, wait.
Warning, you are under video surveillance. No trespassing, security, armed. This is the strangest place I've ever been to get healthcare. Just a bunch of different places. Healthcare here, healthcare right here, another healthcare company right here. There are 3 healthcare companies inside of this building right here in this room of 7C. Now we have another Helping Hands, Home Care LLC, another healthcare company. Present Help right here. We're looking for the best rates of healthcare here inside this building because we have so many options. Who can we talk?
Explain what's going on here. So he's going to one building with over 17 different businesses in it, and every one of them are fraudulent businesses. Now you would ask, why would they put them all in one place and just instead of spreading them out? That would make it a little bit more difficult to find because they're lazy and they're idiots. That's why. And they never expected anyone to look into this. They never expected anybody to walk into that building. That's why. When people commit fraud, the smart people, you would never even figure it out because it would be so much things you would have to go through. By the time you figure it out, you'd be like, they were already gone. That's how smart people commit crimes. But dumb people, they put all 17 businesses in the same building. It shows, first of all, that they have no fear. And second of all, they're just completely idiotic. Anybody who walks into that building will see it's no business going on there. But they don't care because they're so blatant with their theft from the American people. They don't care about you. You who live in Minnesota, you idiots who elected them. They don't care nothing about you. If you didn't vote for them, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to call you an idiot. But for those who did, they don't give a crap about you. They will steal from you right under your nose. They do not care. Look at how blatant they are.
No?
Sorry.
All right. We will not get any healthcare here. David, this is one of the stranger places I've ever been. Literally, healthcare every door you go to, yet nobody will give you a rate. How much money do you think's been funneled through this building?
Every year, I would say 50 to 60 million. at
What?
least.
And finally, we were accepted in.
Let me explain something to you. If that don't infuriate you, nothing will. And what infuriates me is thinking about the past. In Minnesota, they had a man by the name of George Floyd who died because he was on fentanyl. He was a criminal. And they raided the streets and destroyed that city down to leave no brick unturned. They ripped that city apart for this fentanyl criminal. And to this day, we still haven't fully recovered from what the Black Lives Matter nonsense did to each city. They did that for a criminal. And the fact that there is nobody in the streets throwing a fit and leaving no car unturned over their money being stolen, money being taken right out of your pocket in Minnesota, they're taking money and giving it to criminals that you worked hard for and nobody's out in the streets acting a fool. It shows that what Andrew Tate said is probably right. You know what? What did Andrew Tate say?
One of the daycare centers in.
What did he say? Let's see what Andrew Tate said. Of course, I gotta find it. Andrew Tate says, white people have given up. If these Somalis stole this much from Africans, they would have been set on fire in the streets. White people do nothing. Now, is he right? Is he right? I think there's some truth to it. I don't really like smashing on white people so much or jumping on white people because, first of all, we as a black community ain't doing much better at all. But second of all, they getting jumped on by everybody else. But third of all, what he's saying is there's a little bit of truth to it. There's a little bit of truth. And what he's saying is like, y'all let these people do this to y'all? Imagine if they did this in Africa. What would happen to these people? They probably would be stoned like back in Jesus's day. Dude, are you serious? They would never do that there. And the fact that they get away with it here shows how soft our nation has become. Look at what these people do. Let me see if did I have that video? Wrong video. Now I gotta find it again.
Right here, you have a list of all of. Nobody will give you inside this.
to give us a rate. However, when we left, we were then met with the police.
We received a complaint that gentlemen mentioning your description were in this building harassing the individuals who stay here.
Oh, we're checking out the rates for healthcare. Because there's 14 healthcare companies inside this building, so.
Okay.
Well, that's not what he said. He said there's 14 companies here, and he's trying to assume because they're Somali providers, everyone here is fraudulent.
Okay.
So
he's here with some kind of like propaganda.
No, we're just.
That's not what he said. If you watch the full video, that's not what he said. He just came in there and say, hey, can somebody give me some information on healthcare provider? I want to see if I like this business in order to utilize them or not. And nobody helped him. Now, here's the thing. On to the police credit, because somebody be like, oh, those police did this and that. The police don't know any more than he does. They don't know that this business is fraudulent. All that they know is a private company is calling to get this man escorted off the premises. And being a private company, they have to oblige in the business when they want somebody gone. So I don't blame the police for this matter, but I do blame the people running this business that are fraudulent and lying on this young man because he wanted to utilize your business that you portray yourself to be. You portray yourself to be a healthcare business and you don't provide any healthcare. 14 business. This is a different location. First one was 17, this one's 14. Businesses with nobody in them. This is insane. This is insane.
No, this is a area that we're allowed to enforce trespassing ordinance. Is there any other reason that you guys are here?
Well, we were checking rates.
No, he's not.
We were checking rates. We asked for rates.
No, you're not.
Okay.
Yes, he did.
I'm gonna have, if you guys are all good, we're gonna step outside and we can continue this conversation.
All right, let's leave. So, all right, we're getting escorted out right now. The police have arrived. We were checking out the rates, seeing what was happening inside this building. No one would really speak with us. We did go inside the one daycare center, and she actually did give us rates for childcare. Much respect to that lady. What's the problem, officer?
Well, so again, we've been getting reports from multiple individuals that you guys were harassing individuals who work here. At the end of the day, this is private property, and it's one that people are allowed to ask you to leave, and it's also one the Minneapolis Police Department is allowed to enforce trespassing ordinance at this address.
Right here, you have a.
So, like I said before, don't blame the police guy because he didn't do anything wrong. He doesn't know all the fraudulent stuff that's going on there. He's probably been on 10 calls that day. So he doesn't know, oh man, I'm going to here and nobody's in this business and they're not patronizing this business, so it must be fraudulent. He doesn't know. He's just got a call and it said this white young man is harassing this business. Now that's a lie. But even still, it's a private business and they can ask whoever they want to leave. But they lied on this young man. That's the point. They lied and said that he wasn't there for the reasons that he was there for. Let me see here. Hold on one sec. Give me one sec. This video ain't working. What is... Look at this one here.
Oh, we have the paper here. So we're wondering where the money and where the children are at. We have the paper right here. Come here.
Who are you, first of all?
My name's Nick Shirley.
You don't have any permission to record me, period.
Can we talk
you
outside?
You don't have permission to record.
She doesn't either have. She doesn't have permission to record me.
You cannot stop people on the street and question them.
We can ask.
You don't have.
Okay, where country is he from? Yes, you can. You absolutely can. I can question anybody about anything. They don't have to answer. Now, you don't have to answer if you don't want to, but in America, you can say what you want. These people are so blatant that they're committing fraud by the billions of dollars. And they get mad when you ask them a question. You would think that if they cared enough about getting bills, they would do a little bit of work to at least try to appear like a legitimate company. Like, for instance, the daycare centers, they could put their own little kids in there. So at least when somebody come by, they stay there all day. They got some kids in there playing around and they leave in 8 hours. They didn't even do that. There's nobody in here because these idiots don't want to work for anything. They don't even want to watch their own kids. I guarantee you their kids are in public education or some mess like that. And you looking like, why did you not put your own kids in there? They could have did so much. They could have people that just sit there. You got to remember, it ain't like they each getting paid $10 an hour. They're getting millions per site. And they have 17 different businesses in this one location, or 14 in another, and 20 in another. And one place literally got 60 million a year. You think they can't pay people to at least sit in the lobby like they come in there or something? And then whoever walk in, they can be like, yo, yeah, I just got health, or even know enough about healthcare to say, here's our plan. Here's what we got going on. As if it's a legitimate, they couldn't even pay people to do that because they're so fraudulent and so lazy, and they've been doing this for so long and getting away with it that they've gotten blatant with it. They don't even care about presenting like they're a legitimate business anymore. And neither does Tim Walz. He don't care either. This is insane.
Any permission.
Where are the children?
I will sue you. You don't have any permission. We have nothing to do with this. You
Okay.
understand?
Then are there
So leave. Please leave.
Are there children here?
Please leave.
Where are the children? $2.6 million for a daycare center.
You ask whoever
2.6 million.
you think is doing that. You don't know what you're talking about. So leave.
Let me explain something to y'all that really bothers me. How many of y'all make 2.6 million a year? How many of your businesses out there, if you started a business, makes 2.6 million a year? How many of you will retire with 2.6 million a year? How many of you, after you pay your house off, will have 2.6 million a year? But these people have 2.6 million a year. And you're not mad? They take it, and here's the other thing. It's not just they got it fraudulently. They got it fraudulently with your money. You. They're laughing at you. They're stealing from us. They're taking advantage of federal laws. They're taking advantage of local laws. They're taking advantage of building stuff. They're taking advantage of children stuff. All the laws that go into it, for those who have looked into several different types of businesses, such as myself, whether it be group homes or child daycares or a car business, you understand you can get grants and loans and federal funding for different types of things. They're taking advantage of all that, and not even one child is in the daycare. Not even one person is getting federal health care. All this stuff is fraudulent, and they're getting away with it. And they've gotten away with it. Even if they get deported, that's not going to give the taxpayers their money back. Think about that. The billions of dollars that Minnesota has lost that they've paid taxes for, they're not getting that money back. You, who you had 30% of your check garnished before you could even spend it, you ain't getting that money back. You is not getting that money back. And that should make you angry because you worked, you didn't ask for this stuff to go towards these fraudulent businesses. They took it from you. The government stole it from you and gave it to these people, and you're not mad? I'm telling you, if you stole a 2.6 million from me, I'm coming to find you. But they're so liberal in Minnesota and so soft, they'll vote for it again because of George Floyd. We feel bad about George Floyd. That's why. Clowns want to go along with stuff for white guilt reasons. And now everybody getting stolen from by Somali pirates.
Tell us what's happening here then.
I said leave.
We're wondering what's
We
happening.
are not a child care. We are nothing to.
Where dollars?
Right. They're very nice. Once with a knife, and the other time I was jumped last Saturday by 3 Somali men simply for asking questions about what was going on. And they're very, very violent people. They do not like this fraud to be exposed.
After giving this man plenty of opportunities to answer the simple question, where are the children, he called the cops on us and we headed to the state capitol where they're having a meeting about the fraud to confront the state representatives and people in the government who have enabled and let this fraud happen. Inside of this committee, a Republican representative showed charts showing exactly how this fraud has been committed and who is profiting and connecting all the dots. And while the Democrat representatives looked into the abyss, one of them spoke about how none of this is building trust and how this is a nonpartisan issue, so I went and confronted her after that.
He has some very valid questions to ask about what's going on here in Minnesota. And do you think this fraud
I don't know who
crosses...
you are.
My name is Nick Shirley. Do you think this fraud is Republican or Democrat or just facts that fraud is happening?
Look, so she runs away. This is what they do. They don't think that they have to answer to you. Democrats, liberals, leftists, they steal your money and they smile in your face and they don't think they got to tell you anything. They don't think they got to answer to you. You're a peon. You're an ant. You're scum underneath their foot. Liberal or Democrat, they look at you, the taxpayer, whether you voted for them or not. Look at how they did in Chicago. They took that taxpayer money and they raised their taxes and said, we're giving it to illegal aliens. I dare you to do something about it. That's what they said. I dare you to do something. We're taking your money. We're raising your taxes. We're giving it to illegal aliens. Put them in luxurious hotels. That's what they did. And these idiots voted for another, right after they voted for that ugly woman, then they voted for the black man that be crying all the time. And you willing to tell me y'all ain't learned y'all lesson yet? It's like, yo, man, how much of this gotta happen before at least black people wake up? Because y'all keep voting for these cities have a giant black population. And black people are suffering the most. Oh, goodness. Let's read this. This is AI, by the way, but this is as real as it gets.
Governor, Tampon Tim. Well, they finally caught us. If you're a Somalian with one of those fake businesses we used to steal taxpayer money with, please shut it down, like right now. If you see a white kid wearing a hoodie holding a small fluffy microphone and an iPhone, do not let him in. His name is Nick Shirley, and he may look like a friendly guy, but believe me, he is not. So just, lock the door, pretend like you're working and shit like that. Oh, and if the FBI knocks on your door, run like you're back in Somalia chasing a chicken for dinner, okay? Anyway, bye guys. We had a good run.
And that's how they feel. This is how they feel, dude. They don't care. We had a good run. Like I said, they're burning files. Some of them are scattering because what Democrats typically do, and all politicians do this to be fair, whenever a big scandal like this happens, there's a fall guy. There's somebody who they can send to federal prison, and then they say, he was in charge of it all. I didn't know anything about this. This is the guy right here. And that's the fall guy. And the fall guy was involved in it, don't get me wrong. He was getting paid. But it was far more people involved that are playing dumb. And that's what they're going to do here. You think Tim Walz is going to spend a day in jail? Do you think Tim Walz is going to go to federal prison? Just like Hillary Clinton did for breaking federal laws? Yeah, sure. No, it won't happen. And that's the sad part about it, because the justice system is biased. People who have power, who have status, do not get a fair trial. And not fair in the sense of they're going to be railroaded, unfair in the sense of they get off with everything. And that's how it is in every country. It ain't no way out of it. You think in China, just because they're communists, that political figures don't get away with absolute murder? Yeah, they do. Look at what happened in the 1990s. They can murder and do whatever they want there too. Everybody with power will take advantage of that power when the time comes around for them to pay the piper, until they come before the ultimate king, which is Jesus Christ. So, what is the backlash?
Tim Walz will go to jail for this?
So there is a criminal complaint, a formal criminal complaint that's been filed against Tim Walz, contending that he knew there was fraud, as stated by over 400 Minnesota Department of Human Services employees, that they told Governor Walz years ago about massive fraud. According to Minnesota Statute 3.971, he was obligated to immediately report that fraud or suspected fraud to the Office of the Legislative Auditor, and then the OLA determines which law enforcement agency that complaint goes to.
I like this guy because, for one, he knows his stuff, man. To have all these statutes memorized, you can tell he's been doing this for a long time. He's fed up with it. He says he loves Minnesota and he wants to see better for it. But the reality is, I still stand by, I don't think anything is going to happen to Tim Walz, because nothing ever happens to these politicians. I know that's a black pill thing to say, but maybe the best we can hope for is everybody else underneath him to get held accountable. But if you think he's going to see any federal time, no. What we can do, and this is what I say we should, because when you fight evil, take every inch that they would take. Any Somalians involved in this, go to prison, federal prison. Then they get deported. Or get deported, whichever one. They all get deported. I don't care if it was a 5-year-old child involved in this. Deport him. Get him up out of here. Go back to be with his pirate father. So you can do that. That's step number 1. The people over them, federal prison. The people who help them, federal prison. Everybody involved, fines, federal prison, whatever you need to do to get the American people some sense of justice.
He did nothing.
He did nothing, and it's being investigated right now, and we should hear something pretty soon.
Do you think he's been profiting off of this?
I do. I've heard that he's building several houses outside Minnesota. I don't think he owns a house in Minnesota. He originally is from Nebraska. He lied about receiving an award from the Nebraska Chamber of Commerce. He lied about his military status. He lied about in vitro fertilization. The man is a pathological liar.
And do you think he fears the Somalians? That's why he's protecting him? Or do you
No.
think he just gets money from this?
I think it's the fear of being called an Islamophobe, a racist, but I also think that it's all about political power, because they're voting in a block and he wants every one of their votes.
And he's been getting them because he's running for his 3rd term here in Minnesota.
He has no business being in any elected office, period, let alone being governor of Minnesota. It's a disgrace that the state of Minnesota has elected him not once but twice, and now potentially a 3rd time. I'm hoping that this fraud investigation causes him to resign.
I hope so too. Thank you. Do you think Tim Walz?
Democrats never resign because they know, and this is why. The media is completely on their side. So the media just going to spin things in a way that they try to do the same thing with Bill Clinton, but the evidence was overwhelming. So hopefully that can happen in some small cases. But the Democrats got the media on their side. They got, celebrities on their side. They can try to spin social media on their side. So they try to spin things in a way where it's like, and like I said, they got the fall men that can take the fall for them. these, I think that maybe I'm just pessimistic. Maybe I'm the, if something does happen to him, don't get me wrong, I'm gonna be like, yo, Tim Walz is in prison? That's great. I'll be super happy about that. I've seen, one of the things I used to watch all the time was these Senate hearings and these Congress, people approaching Congress and all these crimes that were exposed. And senators holding each other, holding people accountable. And then you would look and see what happened as a result of that Senate hearing. Nothing. Absolutely nothing. And that would frustrate me, man. So it's like, yo, after seeing 100 of those and people, even with Hillary Clinton, if you remember back in the day when she did her thing, she went before she was supposed to be held accountable for that. They asked her all types of questions. She stood before all types of politicians who questioned her. Senator, I believe it was a Senate. And she had to stand before them and ask her all types of questions that questioned her on what she did with the emails and her secret drive she had. And nothing happened to her. Nothing. She's still out walking around. Nothing happened to her but a little bit of embarrassment. That's it. So that really leads me to believe, like, yo, man, is anything gonna happen to this guy? Probably not. Let's see.
Let's start with the Minnesota fraud. The new allegations now. Federal prosecutors have previously said that half or more of the roughly $18 billion in federal funds for Minnesota-run programs may have been stolen by those who didn't need it. So what are you hearing about the magnitude of this scandal?
So I'm just going to be real with you. Forgive me, but I just find this story so utterly infuriating. Think of all of the different ways that the American taxpayer was betrayed here by the Democrats who funneled billions of dollars to fake businesses and never once checked up to make sure they were legitimate, by the media that refused to cover it, by the immigrants themselves who were gifted by the generosity of the American people with the greatest privilege on earth, American citizenship, and then turned around and stole from us as thanks. It's so disgusting, but I think this is also a microcosm of a much bigger scam that the Democrats have been running for decades now, to where they welcomed in millions and millions of immigrants, both legal and illegal, who drove down the wages in America, especially for working class Americans, and drove up the cost of things like housing and healthcare and an education, the hallmarks of the American dream, making that totally out of reach for working class Americans.
This is what infuriates me. And I said this before, but it can't be overstated enough. You who are out there listening to me, I doubt you're a millionaire. I doubt you could start a business and it'd be funded by the government, whether it be local government or federal government, and you be paid $2.6 million a year. And I highly doubt that if you did start a business that was paid $2.6 million a year, you would be sitting on your butt doing nothing and receiving $2.6 million a year annually every year. And that the government wouldn't have any questions. They wouldn't question you. Your family would be going on nice trips. You would have a really nice house. You would live in the top 1% of Americans above everybody else. That's what these people are living like. With your money. These people have started fraudulent businesses where they're not even at the business that they claim they started. And they're taking millions upon millions per site. So it is very infuriating for people who work like me. I'm not a millionaire. I work hard for everything I have. The first time I bought a house in a nice neighborhood, I was like, whoa, this is what it feels like to not hear gunshots at night. I had to work for that. For my kids to be raised in a neighborhood where they could play outside, I had to work hard. So when people like just steal it. They come over from a trash country with trash culture and trash ethics, and then they come to my country and steal my money, and then I have to look at my check and see money is being taken out to support them. That makes me upset. It makes me angry because I know how hard I work. And so it's infuriating to me that people are not as infuriated as they should be. People should be outside with pitchforks. They should be way worse than they were in the Black Lives Matter riots about this. Let me ask you this. Can you steal 2.6 million from the government? What about 18 billion? Can you steal from the government and you not be held accountable? How long would you get away with doing that? As a let's just say the demographic that most makes, as a white man in America, if you stole $200,000 from the federal government, from your local government, would you even think you could get away with that? Oh, it's different. Is it? Because the reality is, y'all know you can't even steal a toothpick from the federal government and them not be knocking on your door trying to find out who got the toothpick, and federal agents doing dusting for fingerprints on every toothpick in the house. They're ruthless with everybody else, but then this gets to go on.
And then if those working class Americans had the temerity to object to their own disinheritance, rich Democrats would go on cable news and call them racists.
Yep.
It's so disgusting. The whole woke vocabulary was developed as a smokescreen for the mass fleecing of the American working class. And I think that is just a mirror image for
That's
what we're
exactly
seeing
it.
with this Somali fraud, and why people are so enraged about it, because they've been noticing this for so long and they were silenced if they called it out, and no more. I think that's what we're seeing right now in this moment.
Absolutely. People are getting sick. This is why people call it black fatigue, but really what it is people are tired of having to deny what they see with their own eyes. When you see a bunch of Somalians come over here and they steal from you, and then you say, hey, these Somalians is out here stealing. Somebody say, oh, that ain't true, you're just racist. People are tired of having to deny what they see with their own eyes. Why should they have to work hard and you don't? Why? You know, it's like, dude, man. And then you come to the country for an opportunity based on the good nature of American people, based on the heart that American people have to save you from whatever crap country you from, and set you up, and now you get benefits and all this stuff, and we allow you to work hard and integrate into a capitalist society where you can create stuff and make jobs and work for a living. And what do? You turn around and defraud the very people that allowed you to have a good life. That's evil, man.
Tim Walz is saying that you and others that are out there trying to expose this, you're doing it because you're white supremacists. What is your response to him?
Yeah, Tim wants votes. There are entire apartment complexes where white people have been pushed out of these apartment complexes because Somalians have taken over, and they're inside of these towns like Minneapolis, where they can go get votes from these people. And if you have 100,000 people that will vote for you because you're going to enable and let this stuff happen, and because you're going to call a white person racist for calling out facts, this is what's going to happen to a state like Minnesota. Minnesotans, they say Minnesota nice, but they are very upset, and I fully understand why they're upset, because they don't have a governor who's actually working for them. He's actually working against them.
Governor,
he doesn't care about them. I know that's kind of what he just said. I think people really believe that these people have a conscience. They don't. They will get away with what they are allowed to get away with. That's why when I look for a politician, right? Even Trump, who I like what he's doing. A lot of things I disagree with, but a lot of things I like. The reason when I look to a politician, I don't look at what they say. I don't look at, oh, he claims to be a Christian. Yeah, that sounds all well and good. And I'm a Christian too. But I want to see Obama claim to be a Christian. Ain't a darn Christian thing about him. Watch what they do and watch the policies they push. That's what you need to watch. People like Tim Walsh and all the other Democrats will get up there and they will say, we care about this and we care about that and we love these people and we love, like right now on his X, all he's doing is talking about all the fun he had for Christmas, ignoring all the people's pleas to wonder what's going on with their money. It's going to be a great Christmas this year. Yeah, for you and the billions of dollars you and your people stole. I'm sure it will. I'm sure you're living a luxurious life with all the money you and your people have stolen from your own American citizens. They don't care because they only care when you hold them accountable. It's some people in this world who are evil. The Bible puts it like this in Proverbs. The fool doesn't understand anything but a rod to his back. And what does that mean? You ain't just going to talk him out of doing his evil. You ain't going to sit down with a fool and talk to him and say, hey, man, this is why you're a fool. He said, you know what? You're right. No, he's going to continue doing evil because he's gotten away with it. And the only thing he understands is consequences, harsh consequences. That's it. He don't get the same things me and you get. Evil people in this world have seared their conscience with a hot iron. They don't care like me and you care. I can't just defraud somebody and go home and have a good sleep. I can't. The Holy Spirit, Jesus Christ, won't let me. I cannot just defraud somebody and then go and be like, oh, well, that was today's day. Defrauded somebody, stole some money, pretended to work and went to sleep. I can't do that. Evil people can. And you got to get it in your head for those who Christian who think everybody think like us. They not like us. They do not think the same way. They will defraud you and steal from you and have no problem with it.
The Somali fraud rings are way worse than anybody understands. We're now finding out and being told that in those grocery stores that they open in their little shopping centers, they just skim the SNAP benefits, welfare, food stamps, and nothing exchanges. They basically just slide the card and empty all that money into their bank account.
I wouldn't doubt it.
And they're doing this nationwide. This is not just a Minnesota thing. This is everywhere. And it's the same MO. They get a shopping center, grocery store, restaurant, or daycare. And don't forget the home health. A lot of home health, and they're screwing over a bunch of veterans. Home health is working for veterans. They're saying they show up to take care of these veterans, to clean for these veterans, but they're not actually doing it.
Tell me how evil that is. So the people who work to protect Americans, the veterans that are many are disabled or have mental issues or on the street or whatever, they're starting businesses saying that we're going out as a Somalian culture and we're helping these people, we're feeding them. And they ain't. And they're getting paid to do it. They're still getting paid, but they're not helping the people who can't even speak up for themselves. Tell me that's not evil.
They're just billing the hours. And when they get caught, all they do is change the name from one LLC to a different one, and they just keep doing it. Yeah, this is going to be hundreds of billions of dollars when we get to the end of it.
That's crazy. I believe everything he said too. So what has the Somalian people's response have been? Did they come out and say sorry? Did they say, you know what? This is not right. This doesn't represent the Somalian people. Did they say that?
Minnesota Somalian. Of course I live in a big house funded by United States taxpayers.
I'm a Minnesota Somalian. Of course we have the most luxurious cars.
I'm Minnesota Somali. I'm camping border. Hi.
I'm a Minnesota Somalian. Of course I married my sister to come here.
I'm a Minnesota Somalian. Of course I tell the government I feed 3,000 kids for no reason. Did you get the bill yet?
Hey, of course I'm a Minnesota Somali. Of course we live in Minneapolis, nigga.
Hey, get the...
I'm a Minnesota Somalian. Of course I got 12 siblings. I don't even know half of their names.
I'm a Minnesota Somali. Of course Minnesota Somalia was promised us 3,000 years ago.
Hi, Trump. I'm back so mad.
Can't even speak English. So these guys are online and they're talking about being Minnesota Somalian. And what are they bragging about? All the wealth they got from you. All the wealth they got from taxpayers. All the luxurious cars they drive. I mean, they not lying, because each one of their businesses makes 2.6 million. Some even more per business. So yeah, and 17 businesses have been found in the same building. So yeah, they not lying. They living it up on your dime. Let's look at some more responses from the Somalian community.
People have been investigating these schemes so far. Americans at large stole tens of billions of forms of aid during the pandemic all over the country. Minnesota's fraud scandal stands out, according to federal auditors. What are you hearing from investigators right now?
Well, I've been following the cases closely as they've gone through the courts, and we know that there are more indictments possibly coming. I think that number might go up to 73 is what I'm hearing.
Okay. Can you shed any light on why the fraud got so out of control in Minnesota?
I think what happened is that, you know, when you have these kind of new programs that are designed to help people, you're oftentimes relying on third parties to be able to facilitate. And I just think that a lot of the COVID programs that were set up, they were set up so quickly that a lot of the guardrails did not get created.
Now, obviously, whatever the ethnic group, the actions of a few dozen should not impugn an entire community.
It's not a few dozen. Stop. It's not a few dozen. And look how they sweep everything under the rug. Oh, when things get set up so fast, you just don't know where the money goes. That's why y'all did it the way you did it. We not stupid. Y'all saw the opportunity and you took it. And guess what? They've been taking it for every type of fraud they can do. Whether it's daycares, whether it's healthcare, whether it's COVID-19 stuff, whether it's veteran stuff. They just fraudulent people, apparently. Y'all just got a fraudulent culture. Y'all come and you steal stuff. And then you wonder why people say, or Trump says, this is a S-hole country. Now, he was talking about Haiti when he said that, but look, another one. Another one. Y'all live in this crap. Look at this crap culture where they just come and steal people's stuff. Is anybody from Somalian culture going to condemn this? Back home, y'all pirates. And over here, y'all pirated.
I think Trump should be thanking us in multiple ways, and first things first, I'm actually so shocked that Trump is attacking us. I think Trump should be thanking us in multiple ways, and I'm going to explain. First things first, I think we are a good example of what the American dream can look like. Like, Somali Americans...
What American dream? Is it an American dream to just steal from your fellow man? That's what you think an American dream is? Okay.
And it's making me sad and it's funny. Like, I know Somali people are very funny. We're like the class clan who also happens to be valedictorian. Somalis in Minnesota are so successful. I take multiple trips a year to Minnesota and I leave so inspired. You have Somali only, like, Somali-owned law firms, Somali-owned pharmacies,
Ain't nobody in them buildings. You go into all these Somali places in Minnesota, ain't nobody there but you.
Somali-owned everything you can think of, and it's so inspiring to see that what my community could do in just 30 years. Literally, we came to this country not speaking English, not knowing anything. We're Black, Muslim,
They still don't speak English. Did you watch the video? He asking them for services, and they're like, no, that not, but that, no, but no, habibi. They ain't even speaking English now. They didn't come and do anything but come and steal.
we're immigrant, and we're able to be that successful. It should be really applauded. Like, I need Trump to stand up and applaud for us because it's shocking. Literally, my friend just moved to Minnesota, and she was telling me how when she gave birth, it was an all Somali staff. Her midwife was Somali. Her doctors were Somali. Her nurses were Somali. Like, that is so beautiful to see, and it should be celebrated, okay? Second of all, Trump, you should be thanking my people for giving a random Midwestern state that much clout and money.
Oh my gosh. Do y'all see what's going on here? When you give people an inch, they take a mile. And when you help out the wrong people, they will turn around and stab you in the back. You are not obligated to help everyone. These people came over here from a crap country riddled with war, riddled with crime, pirates in the seas, people who grape each other on land. They come over here to our country, which is much better than theirs. And they tell us they're doing us a favor to steal from us. She can't even wear her hair out because of her country's culture. She don't even have the freedom to have her hair out. And now she's in America talking this crap.
Like, I don't think, other than Chicago, I think Minnesota is really popping when it comes to tourism because of Somali Americans like me, okay? So you should be thanking us because Minnesota would have been nothing if Somalis didn't move there. Like, if we're being honest, like, we have made that state pop and we have made it beautiful for the rest of the world. So you should thank us, and if you want, you can donate Minnesota to the great country of Somalia. Like, I think it's a nice trade-off.
Now, this, you gotta admit, some of this is straight up rage bait. She's trying to rage bait everybody because she know her country's trash, and she knows she and her family is probably thieves too. So she got to go out and, double down on it because instead of having what a normal person would have, which is secondhand embarrassment because of what your people are doing, which is what I have for a lot of, the Black community in America, she has to double down and say, you should be proud that we're stealing from you. You should be proud to we got it popping, y'all, using Black American words and Black American lingo. Make your own lingo. I don't know what y'all say in Somalia. Boop, boop, boop. Whatever y'all talk like, say that. Stop trying to take Black American lingo. We got it popping. What? What are you, Chris Brown? Dude.
And last but not least, I'm so happy that people are discovering how funny, witty Somali people are. We're very confident.
Oh, y'all funny.
And although Trump said what he had to say, like, I want him to know, Yani, like, it didn't even, like, bother. Like, it didn't do anything to our confidence. We've heard everything you've said before. People always make fun of Somalia, da-da-da. But I still think I'm better than everyone. Like, God has made me Somali Muhammad. Like, I'm okay. I'm okay.
Well, I mean, the craziest thing about Somalians is that even with them giant foreheads they still got like average 60 IQ. So all that forehead for nothing. Think about that. You got 2 times the forehead of everyone else, and yet half as intelligent. And that's not all Somalians. But for these people who did this dumb stuff, they were literally basing their whole billion-dollar organization hoping that somebody wouldn't come into a public building. That's pretty stupid. So that's how you know they're being helped by white liberal women. Because they would never come up with this type of fraud on their own. You know, some of these people are just they're very, very dumb. I just hate to say it. And I think that I don't even like the IQ argument to 100% because I think things contribute to IQ. I don't think people are just born with a certain IQ that they're just destined to be for the rest of their life. I think a lot of things contribute to IQ, and the IQ studies have they're inconclusive. Basically, if you look at some IQ studies, you'll see that even down to if you're breastfed or not can contribute to your IQ. A lot of things that you eat growing up when you're in your adolescence and all types of things, lead poisoning, lead exposure, a lot of things contribute to IQ that people want to say, oh, it's just about race. No, it's not. But I can honestly say these people that think that they're coming over here doing crime and that they're better than you simply because they're Somalian, yeah, they're low IQ. Yeah, they're pretty low IQ.
On top of that, I'm Somali American, broski. Like, I'm winning on both sides. But yeah, it's just nice to see that everyone's realizing Somali people are very funny, very confident, and that's never gonna change. It has not changed since colonial days, baby boy, and it's not gonna change because somebody right now decided to make fun of it.
This is also what I hate, and this is. Let me say this, and this is like the type of black pride that I got. Even though I cultivate my own narrative over here, cultivate our own narrative. Even though we do that over here, people steal from the black community so much. All blacks from all over the world. I have to say, it's just true. Whether they be from Africa or Jamaica or Haiti or any of these Solomon Islands, I don't care. All these different countries, they come over and they take advantage of America, and then they try to be black. A lot of them don't. Like, you got a lot of Nigerians that really are taking over the health industry and do a lot of great things. Then there's some, like these idiots over here. Even in the last video, the dude trying to be all gangster, wearing black clothes. Be yourself. You're also proud to be Somalian. Stay Somalian. Stay over there. Build a culture like we did here. When we created jazz music, when we created hip hop, when we created R&B. Do that over there. If y'all want to take our lingo and then steal from haven't you stolen enough? That's all I'm trying to say. Haven't you stolen enough from America? Here's another buffoon, and as soon as you see him, you're gonna get the low IQ vibe from him. Look at his face. You just know.
Who's concerned with the Somali business is the ones who have no life. They have a lot of time in their hand. They broke. They don't have no money, no ambition, nothing. They don't even have hobbies. They depressed. They lonely. You know.
Let me ask you this. Does he sound like he has above a 60 IQ? Does he sound like that? I'm not saying whether he does or not. I'm saying, does he sound as if he could read a King James Bible and get through one page, a singular page? You could offer him 2.6 million for that, and he wouldn't complete the task. That's all I'm saying.
There's always those type of people who care about situations like this. You know? People who have something going on for their life, right? They're busy in their career, their family,
And just, this is not very important, but I want y'all to notice that his lips are ashy.
Taking vacation, they're enjoying their life. You know? They're not concerned with the Somalians in Minneapolis, Minnesota. Only people you will see who's worrying about this is not even racist. They just broke. They just don't have anything going on.
I'm sorry, sir, that we haven't stolen and started fraudulent businesses like you and your family. Because if we did that, we wouldn't be broke now, would we? Sorry, sir, that, hardworking Americans want to have legitimate means of income. I'm sorry about that, because if we were all fraudulent and me and my family could just start an empty business and get millions per business we start, we wouldn't be broke. Now, would we? We're just broke.
Spiritually, physically, and financially. That's what it is. They don't have any. Only.
Let me ask him this too. This is one point that he's forgetting. How much money would you have, sir, if you would have stayed in your own country? If you had this mindset of just making a good living and being worried about yourself, why'd you come here? If you had so much ambition and drive, make your own country better. I'm sure you could do that with that big old forehead you got. You could think of something, couldn't you? Here's the thing, y'all, they talk as if they're not stealing. You just stole money. You and your people have stolen money from America, and then you want to turn around and saying the only people worried about that are broke. That's retarded, sir. So this is what I want y'all to think about next. And my wife pointed this out to me. This is a weird link. This is a weird set of events that I think the federal government should look into. You'll see once you see, and you won't be able to unsee.
Do you remember Vance Bolter, the man who worked for Tim Walz, who unalived a Minnesota representative? Minnesota Representative Melissa Hortman was the only Democrat to vote against health care funding for illegals in Minnesota. She was unalived almost immediately after her vote.
I know that people will be hurt by that vote, and we worked very hard to try to get a budget deal. Nope.
Look how broken. Here, I want y'all to notice this. Look how broken she is. Because she was the one Democrat that betrayed the other Democrats by not voting for a bill that would fund their fraudulent behavior. And think about that. She did that, and then the next day let's just see what happened to her.
Wouldn't include that provision.
DFL Speaker Emerita Melissa Hortman emotional following the House's adjournment from a special session Monday. Hortman was the lone DFL lawmaker to cast a vote to cut Minnesota Care access for undocumented immigrants. It's a move she made with a heavy heart.
I did what leaders do. I stepped up and I got the job done for the people of Minnesota.
Very shortly after this, she was unalived in her home by Vance Bolter, who was later caught after a manhunt. He then sent a letter to the FBI and Kash Patel saying that it was Tim Walz who forced him to do it. Both Vance Bolter and his wife worked for Tim Walz for years in different states. Today, it's breaking news that the money laundering...
Y'all don't find that suspicious? I'm just saying, don't you think that should be looked into?
Scam in Minnesota of billions of dollars for healthcare offices, child daycares, Medicaid, and various forms of care agencies. These money laundering frauds have been exposed, and it all comes back to Tim Walz.
I want y'all to look back at their foreheads.
Laundering frauds have been
Look. If you look here, look at that. It's a whole nother face could go on that. Look at this one. Oh my gosh. You can't tell. He could fit a whole nother body up there. The surface. And this one. The width. You don't know the width and the height of the Lord's love that could fit on such a surface. That's all I wanted to.
Exposed. And it all comes back to Tim Walz. Was Melissa Hortman unalived
because she voted against a multi-billion-dollar money laundering fraud. The fraud that she voted against that heavily implicated illegal aliens, specifically Somalians, who have been racketing this kind of childcare, healthcare rackets and cooperating with our corrupt government. In Vance Bolter's letter, he said Tim Walz put him up to it because...
Y'all remember that? When he came? Look what he dressed up like that in his weird costume, like a police officer. Y'all remember that? That was very weird. Nobody really got to the bottom of it, did they? It makes you think.
Tim Walz wanted a seat in the Senate. But maybe all it really was about was billions and billions of money laundering, a racket dependent on illegal immigration and compliance.
I can't help think, though, of all the people who would be a little miffed and tell us that this was a big fuss would be Mark and Melissa, never seeking that limelight, but always being at the place where good was being done.
That's crazy. Think about it. That's all I'm saying. I'm not accusing nobody. I'm just saying, think about it.
Do you remember Vance Bolter, the man who worked...
It's pretty much the same video. What does Trump have to say about all this?
The mayor of Minneapolis, Jacob Frey, is saying that he's actually proud to have the largest Somali community in the country, and his police chief...
Well, then he's a fool. I wouldn't be proud to have the largest Somalian. Look at their nation. Look how bad their nation is. It's not even a nation. It's just people walking around killing each other. These Somalians have taken billions of dollars out of our country. They have a representative, Ilhan Omar, who they say married her brother. It's a fraud. She tries to deny it now, but you can't really deny it because, it just happened. They have destroyed Minnesota. That beautiful...
Look, people hate Trump because he's speaking the truth. Where did he lie at, though? Where did he lie? Because he said they took billions of dollars out of our country. That's exposed, because this is an old clip. Look at what's going on now.
Beautiful land, that beautiful state. It's a hellhole right now. And the Somalians should be out of here. And all they do is complain. You have her. She's always talking about the Constitution provides me with... Go back to your own country and figure out your Constitution.
The mayor of Minneapolis, Jacob Frey...
That dude, man. Trump be spitting sometimes. Go back to your own country with that. You want to talk about the rights that you get here, and then you bring your culture here. If you like our rights so much, leave your culture over there. It don't make any sense to me how these people act. They come here, they wear the hijabs, they act like Muslims. Muslim culture is not able to abide with Christian culture. These people kill us every country, every chance they get. They behead us on their beaches. They kill, they do all types of murderous things to Christians all around the world. And then they want to come over here and get a monopoly and vote Ilhan Omar in. These clowns need to be stopped, man.
Proud to have the...
Ugh, let me get that ugly mug out of here. So all of that to say, what do I think about all this? Well, it's pretty apparent what needs to be done, but the question is, will it be done? When you look at what's going on and how these illegal immigration is working and how these Somalians come over here and how they're taking advantage of the system and somebody's helping them, we have to drain the swamp. We have to find the source. And what I mean by source is there's somebody who's letting these people know how to commit these fraudulent things because these people can barely speak English. Somebody's sitting them down and say, apply here, take this form, do this, take it to this place. Here, I'll speak for you. Okay, when you set up a business, say this, label it this. Somebody is walking them through the entire process, and they're not willing to even walk you through. Have you ever started a business in America? You know that every city, every state has a city office where they're supposed to be able to help you find loans, grants, and start a business. My city has one. When me and my wife went there, we went there multiple times. It was no one there. We had to email based on information we found online, and the dude called us back with like a week and a half later. But these people can't even speak English. They come to our country without a pot to piss in, and they are able to find enough help to become multi-millionaires by the fraud of stealing money from American taxpayers. And you can't even get help getting your business off the ground, which has a 90% chance of failing in the first year. Tell me why I should not be angry about this. Somebody tell me. It's quite insane if you think about it. And it's very insane. And here's the other thing, you guys. I appreciate you guys coming and watching this with me today and sift through all this stuff I did some quick research on. But I want y'all to think, what is the next step? What do we do as Christians? What do we do as Americans to make sure these type of things don't happen again? Other than just not voting for Democrats. That's easy to say. What do we do next? I'm really wondering, what do we do? Okay, say we get all these people deported. Say we get the people thrown in federal prison. Say we don't vote Democrats in. What do we do next to make sure these type of things don't happen? What laws do we institute? I want to do a deep dive into what is the solution, because this stuff is happening in every single city. I could tell y'all stories, but I don't want to give too much away. But it's happening in more places than Minnesota. Who's going to be the person to stop it in your city? Thank you guys for watching.
I love being a coon, shucking and jiving to the moon. I've learned that thief has never learned, so I jump ship just to let him burn. I drive a delay for the coon. Reach for the call. Shucking and jiving on the righteous edge, on the righteous edge. Shucking and jiving on the righteous edge, on the righteous edge. Live it up on the edge, on the righteous edge. Live it up on the edge, on the righteous edge. I love being a coon, shucking and jiving to